Welcome back guys, GTS Garage. Today we are going to look at the brakes as part of the 30,000 mile service. So in a 30,000 mile service, what your garage will do will be to open the caps of your reservoirs on the left and the right, so your brake reservoir and your clutch reservoir. They will just look at the colour of the liquid and the consistency of the liquid and make a decision whether that needs changing or not. And this is something you are able to do at home, so you don't need really them to do that. So we will look at the conditions. The next thing they would do is they will shine a light inside the brake calipers to make sure there's enough meat on each of the pads, and that will be all they will do. Now we're going to do one step of that, so we're going to remove the caliper from the brake, take a look inside. We're going to give them a clean and give them a wash out, and I'm just going to go through that process today. If they need changing or if there is a fault, we are going to address that as we find them. So enough wafflage, let's crack on. Okay, so the front's now done. We're going to come to the rear of the bike. So the rear caliper is very much like the front calipers, but it is a sealed unit. You don't get to access from the rear. You don't get the access to the rear of the caliper like you do at the front. We're going to start by just loosening off the two pins before we remove the actual caliper from the rear disc. Put them down somewhere safe. Just going to leave those back and see if we can. So, as you can see, absolutely grotty and filthy in there. So what we're going to do is we're now going to remove the two pins. Just get the other one out as well. So putting pressure from behind on the pads, lifting them up and down, you should then be able to take the pins out. They are jammed in. Okay, so that's the next one. Right, so we orientate it back round so we can see, and that's that pad. Oh, they are chock-a-block. So that's the first one. That is absolutely heaving, and they are our pads, as you can see, in desperate need of a clean. So what I'm going to do is, because it is just so dirty, I'm just going to give it a quick wash, completely get the worst of it off, because I'm going to be touching this and I'm going to end up filthy. Right. Then I'm going to remove the floating arm. Look at that black come out. So whilst I do the cleaning, I'm going to just sit that back onto the brake disc. What I don't want to do is stress that hose. So I'll get the toothbrush on this just to knock off the worst. Okay, so basically I just pumped the brake out a couple of times, and as you can see this back one is coming out a lot more than this front one. So I'm just going to clean this off. Again, make sure it's absolutely clean all round. Then I'm going to push this one back in, hold it and force the other one to come out. Okay, the next job is to clean the caliper mount, just to make sure that's clean. And dry that off. Is we are going to apply some red rubber grease to the pistons. It'll help it slide back on. Again, it's not lathered on, we just need it to slide on. So we're not putting loads because it'll just pick up more and more dirt. Okay. Just place that back in there, and we put that on. So put that back on over there, and then we come to clean the pads. So the pads, we're looking at the pads, they look messy, but there's plenty of meat back on them. So what we'll do is just clean them off, so we can make sure that there are no hidden cracks. I'll take the toothbrush. That one, no, that's one, and it'll do. So basically what I'm going to do is just clean out the grooves. Dry it off. There you go. Clips in. We're then going to put the back plate in, and we want the two holes there, so back plate in, there you go, fitted. Now what I would do, and I found it a little easier, is to put the first one in and put the pin in the back and line up the holes, and I would do that with both pins. That way you've only got then one to guide it through rather than trying to guide it through two. So again, a little bit of... Right, so with the back brake pad in, we're now going to put the brake pad on the other side. So this one comes close against the hooks in, comes close, and then comes down into it. Now, okay, now pushing up, pushing through, that's one, pushing up, pushing through, that is two. So again, a little bit of there on one and on the other. Don't know if you can see what I'm doing now. So basically I'm just applying a little bit of copper slip to the threads, and it only needs to be on one side because as I spin them in it will then coat the rest of the caliper. So I shall put that in. See, those in. That's one in. There you go. See, so we'll just tighten that back up. So again, the pins get torqued up to 18. Perfect. The bolts get torqued up to 40. We're then going to push the back brake pedal until the calipers close onto the disc. Perfect. So the last job to do is just to check the fluid levels in the reservoirs.